My friend Dr. Phil Meyers. Dr. Phil Meyers is a chiropractic physician living and working in my hometown of St. Louis, Missouri. And there's a simple and easy way to get started with Dr. Meyers. You call his office, set up that first private no-charge consultation, and you're ready to go. That office number is 314-878-6868. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning, John. How are you this morning?
Well, if I felt any better, it wouldn't be legal. How about you, sir?
In some states it is.
That's true. That's true. Well, we have a national holiday coming up. Locally, it's going to be a lot of rain, but there'll be a lot of people out engaging in outdoor activity, maybe using muscles, engaging in various outdoor activities that their bodies aren't used to, which means Tuesday morning waking up with aches and pains, doesn't it, Doctor?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the different amount of foods and the different amount of drinks leads to a perfect inflammatory storm.
Right. Well, maybe we need to talk a little bit about dealing with that inflammatory storm and how to mitigate, sir.
Absolutely. So, I mean, we want to have fun. We want to go and have fun with our families and do our cookouts and do all that kind of stuff. And the last thing you want to be thinking about is okay, so what's going to happen to me on Tuesday? I mean, it's just not even on anybody's register, and just being mindless about it is pretty much what we all love to enjoy that purpose. But then, like you said, on Tuesday morning, it's like, oh my God, I just got hit by a mad truck. What happened here? So there's just a lot of ways there's some really good ways to combat that. One of the biggest ones, for sure, is keeping your hydration level up. And that in itself is absolutely huge. I mean, so think of it this way. So we know some of the things that most people are going to be drinking during the weekend are going to be wine, beer, and sodas.
That's right.
Pretty much the given.
That's it.
Wine, beer, and soda. Well, all of those are dehydrating. There is not a single hydrating response to any of those. And so making sure that for every single drink that you have of one of those three, that you are partaking in at least 16 ounces of a hydrating liquid. And on a couple shows ago, we talked about what the most potent hydrating liquid that would be a Himalayan sea salt water. 1/8 of a teaspoon of Himalayan sea salt, the pink stuff, in about 16 ounces of water will completely replenish start replenishing a dehydrated system. And what that does is that hydration cuts down on the inflammatory response that happens when you have beer, wine, champagnes, and sodas. Those things are inflammatory, and any inflammation in the body creates dehydration, and dehydration in the body creates inflammation. So if you are the type of person that's going to be participating in that, whether you have just one, if you're like a person that just has maybe one beer a month, then you're just like, okay, this is the holiday, I'm going to have that one beer. Then just make sure that you're also hydrating, to counterbalance that response. And you're going to start noticing great changes within that overall. So just from a hydrating standpoint, that's extremely important.
It is. It's not optional, is it, Doctor?
Well, you can't. I mean, I tell people all the time, breathing is not an option. All the time. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't register in people's psychology of, well, what do you mean it's not an option? I do it all the time, and I'm still here. Well, what we mean by it's not an option is that you could continue. It's just like people say, well, I can live without a gallbladder, or I can live without my appendix, or I can live without a colon, or any other organs that can, quote unquote, be removed. Yeah, you can live without them. However, the vitality of the system is less. You don't get the opportunity anymore to tap into as high as a vibrational energy signature as you would if you had mindful breathing, if you had mindful hydration, if you had anything of the category of mindfulness towards you having more vitality in your life. You can go mindless into the good night. And that's what people do. And when we talk about mindfulness here, they're like, well, what do you mean by being mindful? I'm like, okay, so who drove here? Like I did. Like, would you really think you drove here? Well, yeah, I was behind the wheel. Okay, so you weren't listening to the radio or going through your grocery list in your head or thinking about what you want to go through the day. You weren't doing any of that? Oh, yeah, of course I was doing that. Okay, so then who was driving the car? Well, I guess I wasn't. So
That's
who
right.
was? Your automatic autonomic programming. That's who is driving the car. And when you're utilizing your autonomic automatic programming to do the things that you should be mindful of, you're living in ways of being that are habitual, that don't always have your best interests in mind. How almost all car accidents happen. No one was ever saying, I was completely mindful at this moment, and all of a sudden the brakes happened on this car, and I didn't see it happen. Well, no. When you're mindful of something, you recognize what's happening in the moment. You're present and conscious, and not living an automatic program that sometimes doesn't have your best interests in mind. And so when breathing, drinking water, and eating healthy foods isn't mindfully projected into your image of yourself, then you're, quote-unquote, not taking care of yourself at all. And that's when we say it's not an option. That's what we're saying. It's time to start being mindful of what's going on so that you can start living your human life and not live a non-human life, which is a mindless life. And the more mindless we are, the less human we are being. And we're just being automatic programs. Might as well just have a robot do your job, or be robotic in your relationship. Because if you're not mindful of what you're doing, what are you doing? Why are you here? What's the point? We're designed to be mindful.
Yeah. Right. Well, another way to say it would be to live an intentional life.
Very much so, exactly. Living a very intentional life. And that intention is all about being mindful. So we want to have fun. And so you can have a blast, a literal blast, living a mindful life. And it literally can be the best thing since sliced bread for you. But if you're not used to it, it's like, oh, I have to pay attention to this, and I have to pay attention to that, I have to do this, and I have to do that. I just want to have fun.
Right.
Well, have fun. And be mindful. It's an and with, not an either or. I have a client way back in the day. She came to me, and she's like, I'm willing to do all this. I just don't want to be a health nut. Like, I have no idea what you mean by a health nut, so tell me what your definition of a health nut is. Well, that I have to pay attention to everything that I eat all the time and do this and that. I'm like, well, okay. So where do you want to start? She's like, well, I'm willing to do this, this, and this. I'm like, okay, are you doing it yet? She's like, no. I'm like, okay, let's start there then. Okay. Then it was like a couple months later, she's just like, and she was telling me all the stuff that she's doing and paying attention to and having fun and enjoying doing it. I'm like, wow, you sound like a health nut. She's like,
that's funny.
And it was kind of under her terms, and what she didn't want a dictator telling her what to do.
Right.
She wanted to discover it in her own way. And what I do as a support system is I supported her in her growth according to what she was intentionally wanting to do in her life, was to live a happy and vibrant life. And it was a piecemeal. We kind of walked our way through it, and then, like I said, it was funny. So yeah, and so that's drink, and it's hydration, and so that's really easy. So now you have all this food. I mean, food. I mean, you have your barbecues, you have your barbecue sauces, you have your God knows how many salads.
Right.
Bring your own salad to the party. With mayos and salad dressings and this and that, and I mean just so many different potatoes and pies and cakes and creams. All right, so here's the thing. Unless you are in a family community that is already awakened to gluten-free, dairy-free, hormone-free type of eating style, which I'm going to say 98% of the population in 4th of July is not. Right. So what do you do about it? If you want to have fun, look at portion sizes. Portion sizes are huge to start off with. Because remember, this stuff is addicting. It tastes good. You want it, and you don't even know why you want it. You just know that, wow, you just had it, and the next thing you know is I need another slab of ribs. Because that sauce that was onto that literally is laced with high fructose corn syrup and MSG type of responses. You just want to go and slather another plate on in your gullet. And rightfully so, because guess why? Because it was designed to make you addicted to it. So recognize that you must restrain a little self-control on that. So the best thing you can do is breathe while you eat. For every bite you take, make sure you take a full breath in and a full breath out. And you literally must be a stickler at it. And breathe in. There's two parts of breathing in and breathing out.
That's right.
I tell people breathe, and they'll be like, ah! They're like, and I'm waiting. I'm like, breathe out too. Oh. And then they breathe out. And you heard it too. When I invite people to breathe, they realize, oh my God, I'm not breathing. So they, in a stressful way, breathe in. And they tighten up their muscles, and their shoulders go up into their ears, and they're wearing their shoulders for earrings. and it's funny because you see it.
I know.
And we do it ourselves. But it's like, so what you want to do is take a gentle breath. Take a gentle breath in, and take a gentle breath out. And within that gentle breathing, it slows you down, for one. Two, that breathing brings into a state of digestive balance. And so what it does is it negates the emotional connection to food and to drink. And you start and because it's getting you to be mindful. And so it's also keeping you out of your fight, flight, fright, I got to have my addictive fix in order to feel good behavior. So it does that. And it slows you down within your eating. So instead of in one single swoop bite, you take that wing and just put it in your mouth and pull it out, and there's just bone. And then 20 bites later, you haven't even taken a breath yet. Or you just swallow it down whole and didn't even use chewing to digest the wing, and now it's just sitting in your stomach, complete and utterly full, and it hasn't even started that digestion process, and now your stomach has to use hydrochloric acid and enzyme production and churning to actually now metabolize that full wing in your stomach, and which you should have done when you had it in your teeth and masticated it to a liquid form, so that your then digestive system only has to break down the smaller molecules.
Hold that thought,
Breathing
Doctor.
allows you to do that.
Okay, let's continue, Doctor.
So breathing, another very highly underrated power that we all have that we take for granted. Again, like we said, it's not an option. So we've got hydration, and we have breathing, and those two things are huge. The third thing that we should talk about is sun exposure. Now, making sure that the sun exposure is huge, and making sure that you're covering up your head with a hat, or being in the shade, especially during those peak times of mid-afternoon, when the sun is at its highest and it's most potent. So making sure that you're covered within that is huge for you within just overall health. Now, there's the whole aspect of the things that we put on our skin now. So you have all this, you have your sun-protected stuff that you put on your skin, and you also have the bug sprays that people put on their skin for all the mosquitoes because they want to go out and hang out in the grass at the hill to go watch the fireworks display at their local town event. Now, all of this said and done, if there's a lot of toxins in those materials. And so making sure that you're finding the best stuff out there. So aloe vera is fantastic for skin care. And it protects the skin, and camphor oil. Those two together is a great protector for the skin from the sun and helps keep it hydrated and protected. And it has a lot of vitamins and minerals in there, which is highly beneficial for skin health. And just making sure that you're staying connected with staying out of the sun when you don't need to. We're not talking about tanning right now.
Right.
So the other part is the bug sprays. There are tremendous amount of things that you can do for your skin to help with bug protection. Now, here's the thing with bugs. They're attracted to the pH balance of your skin. So there's a lot of alternative oils out there, and people that do, like all the essential oil companies, like, oh, yeah, you just do this oil, that oil, and that oil. And you mix them together, and it's your perfect bug spray. And they're right. Those oils are phenomenal for bug repellents and everything like that. But at the same time, it doesn't work for everybody because of the inflammatory nature that a person has within their skin. One of the biggest things that bugs are attracted to is a dehydrated skin, a dehydrated, inflamed body. The more dehydrated you are, i.e. the more inflamed you are, or i.e. the more inflamed you are, the more dehydrated you are, changes your pH balance, not just within your internal system, creating the either alkaline or acidic body, but also the pH that comes out of your skin through sweat and smell and pheromones. And so bugs are attracted to that pheromone of inflammation and dehydration because it, quote-unquote, equals a dying system. You see bugs and stuff all swarming garbage cans, but you don't see them swarming a clean area.
There's our bottom of the hour break. Call number is 800-313-9443. We'll be right back. Visiting with Dr. Phil Meyers. Dr. Meyers is a chiropractic physician, and you need to really look at getting started with Dr. Meyers if you want to have optimal health and well-being. Call his office, set up that first private, no-charge consultation at 800-DISREGARD at 314-878-6868. Let's continue, Doctor.
So those are like the biggest components that we should be looking at within, especially during these fun holiday seasonal parties that we throw with our friends and our family. And so let's recap. So we have hydration, we have inflammation, we have breathing, and we have skincare. And those things right off the bat are huge. Next thing's activity. And we're going to have fun. So a lot of times it's sedentary people kind of stay sedentary, and active people kind of go over the board.
Right.
And so the huge thing for people that are the inactive people, and if you start becoming active, recognizing that it would be kind of a smart idea to get a little bit ahead of the game. I mean, so today's Friday, 4th of July is not till Monday, so why don't you get out and do a little bit of walking? Get your body's energy level up a little bit. Start on some type of program that you want for vitalistic health. For your weekend warriors, making sure that when you go out, pay attention. Okay, how much drink and how much inflammatory food have I had? Because remember, the more activity you do, the more your body is going to be utilizing those essential nutrients to keep your body healthy and strong, and then you're utilizing it. So making sure that you're increasing your water intake even more. Watching your food intake between activity levels. That's going to be very important for you, especially afterwards, making sure that hydration level is up and up and up. So activity level is just extremely important, and it's mostly because you're not going to change a person over a weekend, but just paying attention to what your activity level has been and what activity level you know you're going to be participating in, and prepare your body accordingly. And we're talking to the John Moore Show, so it's all about prep.
That's right.
It's all about prep. And so prepping yourself to know what you're going to be involved in and utilize those key components that we just talked about to expedite your ability to participate in those set events and to, i.e., then recover from those set events. People here in St. Louis, the best thing that people come here all the time after these types of events and are utilizing our ionic foot baths to get detoxified. So their bodies can detoxify properly through the hydration and the foods that they ate. They utilize our services through our massages. They utilize our services through the integrative chiropractic that we utilize. Our biofeedback computer systems see how their body responded to the stresses that they were involved in. They're proactive in seeing how did their bodies do from doing the events, and then afterwards, what were the things that they fell short of, and they know that they fell short of, and need to help rectify at a faster rate. So instead of taking 2-3 weeks to recover, they're recovering in 2-3 days. So participating in those types of services within your ability to access those is highly beneficial. And even a simple Epsom salt bath at home is huge. Utilizing about a pound or two of Epsom salt in a bath is so refreshing and rejuvenating. It's huge. Add Himalayan sea salt to that bath water as well. Increases the vitalistic energy of that water into your skin even more to increase its hydration level as well as its detoxification level that you get from the Epsom salt. And also Himalayan sea salt is a detoxifier as well while hydrating, whereas the Epsom salt is more of a detoxifier without hydrating. So there's your kind of like your a little bit of your differential between the two. So paying attention to those things and preparing yourself for what you're going to participate in is huge, especially the drivers. I mean, we're going to be driving 16 hours round trip from where we're going, from where we're coming from. And so being in that car that whole time, even driving, so making sure you're getting, I mean, we all know, especially us guys, I made it there in 6 hours, and it should have taken me 8.
Right.
And then all the girls are in the house talking about everything, and the guys are saying, yeah, and you made good time. Like, yes, I did. We didn't pee once. And so it's just what it is, and we have fun with it. But making sure that you're preparing yourself for those trips. Have water in the car. Have your certain drinks. Making sure you have good food and paying attention to, okay, I'm going to be driving a lot, so I'm going to be putting more pressure on my bottom side and my low back. Okay, is it prepared for it? Moving while you're driving instead of not being mindful while you're driving. I mean, be safe. Breathe while you're driving. Allow the tension to fall out of your neck, out of your arms, out of your body. And so you're driving in a relaxed, awakened, breathing state and an alert state. It's really funny. The more mindless you are, the less alert you are. And here's the cool part. When you're mindless, your body's holding on to more tension. It holds on to a belief structure about how you're supposed to perform and respond and react to a set event that hasn't even happened yet, but you're quote-unquote already always doing it, preparing yourself for what you think's going to happen. And that's what happens in a mindless state. So you actually have more stress in your body over these long drives, and then you get out of the car and you're like, man, I'm stiff. Whereas if you're driving in a mindful way, mindfulness brings breathing. Breathing brings relaxation. Relaxation brings less stress. Less stress in your system brings upon a feeling of ease, and on top of it, a high state of alertness. And an alertness because you're present and you're conscious, not in the mindless state of quote-unquote alertness where you're just, I'm ready for it, where's it going to come?
Right.
And
right.
Even though you're not quote-unquote saying that in your head, you're not breathing, you're locked in, and you're ready to go. And so connecting in yourself in that way is highly, highly important. So pay attention to that, especially you drivers out there, paying attention to your mindful state while you're driving your vehicle to your destination. Because here's this weekend, man, there's going to be cops out everywhere. Especially if you start traveling on Saturday. And on Sunday, they're going to be everywhere. Especially on those long trips. It's guaranteed you're going to pass about 200 cops.
Yep. Yeah, the cops won't be on holiday. They'll be on alert. They'll be running. There'll be DWI checkpoints. There'll be a lot of them out there.
Oh, yeah. And again, we want to get there faster than it's supposed to take us to get there. And however, being mindful of your speed, being mindful of your perception, being mindful of your breathing, being mindful of the contraction muscles is going to save you a lot of heartache and headache. And so really paying attention to that is really, 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 really key.
It is.
So yeah, those are tips that one can do on these weekend journeys that we go with these trips. But then applying it on your everyday life. And just like what John talks about all the time on being prepared, the more you're prepared, the less threatening life circumstances are going to become because you're like you have it. The more you take care of yourself in a mindful way, utilizing just these simple tools. Drink good water, drink hydrating water, have an anti-inflammatory diet, and breathe. Kind of essentials in life, but how mindless we are about not doing that. And then, so the more you do it, the more this is it. This is just how life is. And if you've never done this before, this is a great weekend opportunity to see where you need to start working at. Don't go into the weekend and go into these great parties and events in a mindless state that, I'll look at that after the party. Use the time to look at the obvious. Oh, wow. I really need to work on this, and this. And be mindful of it. Let go of judgment. That's the most detrimental of all, is judging yourself. And I get the look all the time when I suggest to clients, bring me a food log. And they give me this look. And the look is, I don't want to judge myself. Or I don't want to be judged for what I'm eating. And when I ask people for food logs, the reason I'm asking is to get an idea of where people are. And I don't care if you're 100 pounds overweight or in perfect, quote-unquote, dietary health. What those things do is they allow you to be observant to what is in front of you so that you can now process that and work with it accordingly and say, oh, wow, so that's what's showing up in my life. And now I have the tools to do it. And the more you participate in those tools, the easier and easier it is to live that vibrant, healthy, amazing, and successful life that you're looking to do. And we just have a blast doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Doctor, I want to remind people that the energy cleaner used on long trips will help that trip go a lot better. You end up after an 8-hour, even 10-hour drive without being as brutally tired as you would be otherwise.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So these things are huge for us. And it's funny, you see people living the life. You see people living this vibrant and healthy life. And the little chatter that goes on to your brain is like, wow, that would be really nice, but I don't think I could ever do that. Well, that's the mind chatter of disbelief. That's the mind chatter of a mindless system that isn't focused and doesn't have the willingness and acceptance to see itself differently in the world. Willingness and acceptance are required. That's to talk about not be having. You need it can't be an option. Is having willingness and acceptance in your life is a requirement. Because without willingness and acceptance, you don't have anything else.
That's right. Nothing.
So that's huge. And if you're willing to look at it, if you're willing to pay attention to this, it's very important. And I was just my first client today. We were talking about her husband, and he's a very skeptical man. Join the club, right?
That's right.
However, he's like, he does his research and this and that, and he believes these things. I'm like, well, you know what? Here's the thing with skeptical researchers. They only research with the mind that they have. And they're going to find everything that agrees with their belief structure. And here's the thing. If you take an Aborigine out of the jungles of wherever and take them to an airport, and they've never, ever seen a propeller moving really, really fast, all they're going to see is a silver shiny disc.
Right.
And they're going to want to touch it. And then here you are, knowing that that's blades moving really, really fast, and that's not a silver shiny disc. And you're saying, dude, don't touch that. You're going to rip your hand off. He's like, oh, no, you have no idea what you're talking about. That's a silver shiny disc. I see those things all the time. And so he goes to his Aborigine people, his top scientists, top researchers, and say, hey, everybody, look, it's a silver shiny disc, isn't it? They're like, yes, that's a silver shiny disc. Go touch it.
Hold that thought, Doctor. We have a break. We'll be right back. Visiting with Dr. Phil Meyers. Quick and easy way to get started. Here it is. Call his office, set up that first private, no-charge consultation at 314-878-6868. We got about 3 minutes here, Doctor.
So that he goes and touches it, and his hand gets bit off. So here's the conundrum of the whole thing. Who is right? In his perception, it's a silver shiny disc. And when you see a propeller spin really, really fast, it looks like a silver shiny disc. However, your approach to what you do with that image is the most important part, because that silver shiny disc is going to bite your hand off, because it actually is four propellers running really, really, really fast. And it's technically not a silver shiny disc as soon as you shut off the engine. If someone had gone and shut off the engine, then he'd look and be like, oh my God, it's not a silver shiny disc. It's four propeller blades. So when it comes to changing perception, John ranting and raving on his times when he does a show, and Dr. Phil ranting and raving, or anybody on any show telling you how to see the world, will never, ever, ever, ever change you. The only thing that will ever do that for you is for you to experience an experience that allows you to see something different than what you thought was possible. And that is the only key way to make change and transformation in your life. So I love skeptics. The people that I think need to have a little kick in the butt are skeptics that believe that nothing else is possible, and that their way is the only way.
Right.
Because at that point, you're not just really a skeptic. you're stuck in a concrete plat, and you're never going to move anywhere. So, allowing yourself, giving yourself the willingness and acceptance to say, you know what, maybe, just maybe, there's another possibility out there that's beyond my scope of perception that I could maybe look at, and being willing to actually look at, and maybe, just maybe, accepting the fact that you could have maybe just been a little bit misdirected is the way that is key.
That's a good way to wrap it up, the show. Doctor, have a great holiday. Be safe, and we'll have you back next Friday.
You too, John. Bye.
Okay.